Hey guys, Corey Cola here, but you didn't hear that from me. Today I'd like to talk about a question that I see come up the most in regards to VHS's gameplay, which are bully squads. There seems to be quite a lot of concern, and rightly so, in regards to bully squads in VHS, since the teens have the ability to arm themselves in this game, and that very mechanic has been known to be a problem in certain other asymmetrical games. We know the scenario. The survivors emerge from the shadows, brandishing weapons with evil grins on their faces as they surround the killer, ready to deliver a YouTube-worthy beatdown. So it makes sense that the players want to know how VHS plans to make sure you don't end up on the receiving end of a 4-on-1 fight club out by the bike racks. So let's take a look at some points on how VHS counters bully squads. So the initial fear is that 4 trolls are going to arm up swiftly and they're coming to deliver unto you a bad time. Well, let's talk about that. Starting with our first point. Weapons must be crafted at a station, and crafting weapons takes a considerable amount of time, akin to doing a generator, for those of you who might be familiar with another small indie game. Because of this time commitment, it isn't as easy as rummaging through a drawer to find a cursed sword. Teens are going to have to balance avoiding the monster while also spending time to craft the means of their victory, so that doesn't make it an easy task for all the teens to arm themselves up and play keep away with the monster's glasses. So it's safe to say that it would be rare and difficult for all teens to become armed and to be able to harass the monster in such a way. And even if they were all able to arm themselves, weapons have limited use, and if you don't make your attack count, you're going to have to head back to the station in order to craft another weapon. That is if the monster doesn't decide to take advantage of your vulnerable situation after you failed to take their lunch money. It's going to be a lot harder to coordinate a beatdown on the monster's kidneys when you only have a limited use of your weapons anyways, and with the monster actively hunting the teens as well. Some weapons have more usage than others, but they all have their own advantages and disadvantages compared to other weapons to balance their usage, so even when presented with the opportunity to use a weapon, it might not go as intended. And speaking of which, landing a successful attack with a weapon will be difficult. The weapons in VHS aren't designed to be a guaranteed defense or offense against the monster. As I covered in a previous video, the monster's stigmas don't work as hit points, but rather a certain amount of damage that needs to be done within a certain time frame. So it's important to find the perfect opportunity to attack the monster, or you may not do enough damage to actually get rid of a stigma state. This means that if the killer is able to avoid your attacks or get behind cover, you're going to waste valuable weapon usage, or possibly your weapon in total. Now let's say the teens are experienced and coordinated enough to attempt a bully maneuver. Well, the monsters are equipped to handle armed teens. The devs have talked about this a little bit, and they're fully aware that bully squads can exist, and they've put in a considerable amount of effort to curtail bullying behavior as much as possible. One of the ways they combat that is by giving the monsters unique ways of defending themselves against the teens. Aside from using the monster's agility to dodge attacks, you have monsters such as Wart, who has an armor ability that can absorb weapon attacks. Then there's the Werewolf. He has a howl that can block the teens from using their weapons. And then there's the Doll Master. He can use his own dolls to soak up weapon attacks with no harm to himself. Also, by damaging the teens as the monster, the teens will become subdued and will be unable to attack for a short period of time, which serves as a way for the monster to push back against the teens in their assaults. And even if you are successful with your attacks, monsters become incorporeal after successful attacks, where they enter another realm in which they can move around quickly, quietly, and invisibly. This allows for a strategic repositioning in order to get back into the fight, which means that bullying behavior where an armed squad is able to essentially take the monster hostage with repeated attacks simply won't be possible, as the monster can relocate after one attack instance. The teens would have to guess exactly where the monster is going to respawn without any information, so it would have to be a wild guess by the teen players, as they wouldn't be able to see or hear where the monster is going. And even if they did correctly predict where you're going to end up, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to pan out in their favor. Which brings me to my final point. The back and forth of shifting power is an intentional aspect of the game design so that all throughout the stage of a match, there's a constant ebb and flow of the upper hand passing from one side to the next, where both the teens and the monster have to play strategically in order to come out on top. So if any potential bully squad is going to assume that they can dominate a monster player, they're gonna have to do so at their own risk. There's gonna be times when one side has the advantage over the other, but the devs at Hellbent have put in a considerable amount of time and effort to make sure that you have ways of dealing with the challenges you will be faced with, no matter what side you're playing on, in an effort to make matches as engaging as possible. So with all those elements in place, it seems that bully squads will not only be unlikely, but it would be an inefficient playstyle given all the risks and other factors at play which will heavily dissuade bullying. Now, that's not to say that an instance of bullying can't occur. This is an online game played by human beings after all, so anything is possible. But the foundation of game mechanics in place here already seems to be a great start for stable balance, but ultimately, in the long run, it's gonna come down to how the devs address potential concerns and exploits that will be the defining factor here for the future of VHS. What's important to remember here is that no matter what, you will be given the tools and abilities to tell those bullies, hey, not today. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, this has been Corey Cola. Take care, folks.